Hey everyone. So today we're going to talk about the new HydrosPlus FlatFace Plus, but in the 1/2 inch size. So I'm excited about this product. We have had for about a year now the 1/4 inch version, and it's been super popular. For those of you who don't know, this is a 16028 standard. It's flat face. And as you can tell, when these go together, you really only have to push on one side versus a traditional ag coupler, which is a 5675. You can't just push these together. You have to pull the collar back and then push and then let it go, and hopefully the collar goes forward, because if it doesn't, it may not be seated all the way. And also, by the way, you can do like this and it looks like it's seated, but it's not. So there's some challenges with these. The biggest probably challenge is this void here that gets all kinds of stuff in it, even if sometimes you put the cover on. But also the cover, when not in use, is not only hideous, it is in the way, it breaks. You have to get extra ones. I could complain for days about these, but this is what the industry has been using for so long that it really is hard to change. Now, us guys here down in the subcompact and compact world, we have a little easier time changing, right? The guys that are running row crop tractors and they've got discs that are, lift up and down with hydraulics, and they've got fold out planters and etc. that all use these same couplers. It's really going to be really tough or really expensive for them to change the flat face couplers, even though that could be a better overall solution. But by the way, in case you don't know, they do have a better solution where it's kind of just a push and pull kind of situation. But so that may not even be applied completely to them either. So all that to say, we who have limited implements, and we all have loaders for the most part, can really benefit from these flat face couplers because they don't leak as much, very little leakage. They're easy to clean off. You can just use your thumb or finger if you don't have the proper cleaning equipment. And by having this ring here, we can get rid of those dangly, ugly covers that really don't work that well anyway. So I think it's a great solution for loaders and people who have a few implements. Now, if you're pulling 20 different implements or whatever, and they all have this kind of standard on them, then this may not be the best solution for you. All that said, we've got a couple of options, and as of this video, I do not have a solution for, I don't have a solution. I haven't actually looked at this on like a 2R Power Beyond or a 3R Power Beyond, but on the 1 Series Power Beyond, these will not work. And I say that, actually I should be very specific. On the 1 Series, that is a 2018 and later, so when they made the change for the forward leaning ROPS and a handful of other changes, you can barely connect these, and this is the non-connect under pressure. And if you can connect them, I mean, you're just like, and then you finally get it. The whole point of this is to make it a whole lot easier to connect things, and that's not easier. So don't buy this yet. I'm working on a solution, at least for the 1 Series. And I'll just admit, I have not done the legwork for the earlier 1 Series, which has a bracket that kind of sticks out. So maybe that could work, and they have an extra hose, but I just don't have one of those in my inventory at this point, so I haven't done that. But what I want to go ahead, I've been sitting on these actually for just a little bit because I've been working on some of the solutions for those 1 Series and other tractors. But I want to go ahead and get this out there because I know a lot of people are eager to use these on a 3R, 4R, and maybe some of the other tractors, whether it's a John Deere tractor or not. It does not have to be John Deere, but the specific call out and why this, I kind of lean towards talking about John Deere is because these are 1/2 inch O-ring Boss fittings. That's what John Deere uses on all of their, well, for the bigger quick couplers. For the smaller ones like these, use a -6 or a 3/8 O-ring fitting. And so these are just kind of plug and play for John Deere. These will work on Kubota, Mahindra, any of the others. but you will need to either have this O-ring Boss version already, or you have to adapt to it. And if you've got to adapt to it, I'm not sure this is going to be the best solution for you overall. But definitely, I don't want to discourage anybody from buying it, but I do want you to be happy with what you get. I'm not interested in selling somebody something that by the time they get it, they're like, hey, this is like worse than it was before. I wish I just never would have bought it. I definitely don't want that. So let me tell you a little bit about kind of what the details of this and why this one, and then we'll just go do the install. As part of the install, I think you'll see kind of how this works out, how good it looks, how well it works. And if you're interested, HydrosPlus.com, they're available now. So the key to these, so a couple things we need to talk about. One is the standard way, at least for John Deere, they use these two rings for snap rings, and they will put, you know, like, it'll be like a 3/16 plate. They'll put a snap ring on the front, they'll go through and put the snap ring on the back, and that's how they hold these into pretty much everything on the back of the compact tractors. If you've got something that where you're just screwing it into like a bulkhead fitting, you can use these, but I don't know if this would end up being the best solution for you. But that said, you can see here, another call out is this is offset just a bit where the rings line up. This is going to be a little bit longer on the stock one, a little bit shorter on the newer version. And of course, especially if you get the connected to pressure, you are going to be out quite a bit further. If you look at the overall difference in total length, you're talking about maybe 3 inches, but then when you offset them to what they will look like in the same location, it's probably 3.5, maybe a little more than that. So I need you to know that because I don't want you to have any surprises. I'm just trying to give you the data here. The other thing, as I just mentioned, there is a connect under pressure option. And so as of right now, I'm not sure they make a pure connect under pressure for this standard. They might, but I have not seen it. And but on this, the connect under pressure works as you would expect, but it's only connect under residual or static pressure. So I tell you that in that if you had like an active line, they have connectors that do this, but if you had active flow or active pressure, when you went to connect this up, it would the way this actually works is there's a chamber in here that relieves some of the fluid into the chamber, enough so that you can put these together. And once these are together, then the fluid joins its friends and it all flows together. If you got an implement that's got a little residual pressure up to like 3,000 psi, you will have to push on it pretty hard if it's 3,000 psi, but like 1,000 psi, it's going to basically feel like connecting it like this. It is a little tougher to push these together than say these, because there's just overall size is a lot different. If you're not familiar with like construction equipment and skid steers use this same size. It's 1/2 inch, and I've got a high flow skid steer up to 40 gallons a minute, and they use this same 1/2 inch 1628 standard. But we've got connected under pressure, and then we also have this here, the regular one. And I personally would not hesitate to get the regular version if I were somebody who didn't take my loader off often, or I took it off but on occasion, but most of the time it was back on within a few hours or so. I wouldn't necessarily hesitate to get this. You'll save a little bit of money, and it won't stick out quite as far, which I don't think is an issue, but you know, if it's something that you think might bug you and you don't take your loader off that much, you might go with this version. So that's all I'm going to say about these here at the bench. Now I'm going to go out to the tractor and kind of finish up with an install on a 3R. You'll get to see how easy the install is, how much better it looks, and how easy it is to use. All right, here we are at the tractor, and as you can see here, this is under a 3039R, and we're at the loader mount point. Kind of see, I've got the loader on the ground, and I've loosened everything. Not loosened everything, I've basically moved the loader joystick so that all the pressures are off. So you should obviously always do that anytime you're unhooking your loader, but every once in a while that doesn't work, or you forget, or something happens where it gets kicked off, and that's how we end up in situations where we have residual pressure. that and, potentially temperature changes, but ultimately, it's usually, at least with the loader, it's one of those scenarios. There are things like hammers and other things that you might run on a construction equipment that they get pressure in them based on kind of where things stopped, but doesn't usually apply to us here in tractors. Now, I've already, as you can see, we've got our fun dangly things, and yeah, you can connect them together, I guess, if you want to, but I mean, this is just, they'll get broke off and hung on stuff. And that's really the biggest reason for me, probably. Connecting them, of course, is hard, but this is the thing that really bugs me a lot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, and I'll do all of these, but I'm not gonna do all these on video. See how much oil just came out of there? That's something that is also problematic. So if you look there, we probably lost, I don't know, at least a teaspoon of hydraulic fluid, maybe a little bit more, what the measurements should be in hydraulic fluid. But I basically disconnected this, and I'm going to take this off. But then let me show you how all of these come off, just so you have a sense of it in case you're looking to buy this and you've never actually gotten into your tractor. Go ahead and just get this out of the way. And you see there's a snap ring there. Now, if you wonder which snap ring pliers I like, it's, I don't even know, Work Pro. Actually, I don't have any preference to them, but I do have a preference to whether or not you buy the ones that are kind of all-in-one or multiples. These are Amazon. They're just as cheap as probably anything, but there's 4 different ones. So you've got the ones that when you squeeze, this one's the wrong one, so I had to go get the other one. But this one is one that when you squeeze, it opens. And rather than trying to make the tool into a tool of many options, so they have some where you can change this where it'll be open or closed, or if it has the hook on it or not, all in one set of grips. But you change this part of it, it never works out for me. I always end up losing them. So I'm gonna go grab my other ones, and this will be easier to take off with. All right, I grabbed those, so when I squeeze the handle, they open. Like I said, these take up more room in the toolbox, but as far as having them available, I'm not a fan of snap rings to start with, so I need all the help I can get usually to take them off. So we've taken this snap ring off. We're not gonna take the front one off because we're gonna pull it out through the front, so we'll just leave it on there for the moment. We'll take it off when it's out here. On this particular, let's see here, I think this is a 7/8. Let's see, is it a 7/8? Yep. This is a 1-inch on the ag version. Just break this loose. Now, you're welcome to change your O-rings while you're under here. I don't send O-rings, or as of this recording, I don't send O-rings. O-rings are a funny thing, especially in situations like this, in that I feel like changing to a new O-ring has about the same chance of you changing to one that doesn't work as the old O-ring that's been working for years continuing to work just as good as it always has. I don't have any empirical data for that, but I'll tell you, I feel like just anecdotally for me, that's how it seems to happen. I'll change to an O-ring, brand new one, and it'll have had a cut in it, or upon putting it on, I put a cut in it probably. Let's see here. You can see this one's a little sticky, but O-rings are so cheap, and there's nothing special about these. Whatever kit you have, if you get from your favorite box store, Tractor Supply, Harbor Freight, Amazon, there we go. The O-ring that's roughly the same size. I mean, you can go look up what the 1/2-inch or -8 O-ring, Boss O-ring should be. I don't remember off the top of my head. So we did get this off and see, it does have this snap ring on it as well. I'm gonna get it with my straight ones, pull it off. And for the, what color was this one? Yellow. Go ahead and put it back on. So we'll go ahead and put this on, slide it into the clip. One thing I cannot remember if I covered under the, when we were at the bench, is the snap ring grooves that we have here. They're offset by roughly 1/2 inch. So what it actually means is we're gonna have to move this up about 1/2 inch, but not quite 1/2 inch, because once we actually get the thread started, it'll pull this forward. Now, if you're worried about, you know, this tube bending or something like that, we're gonna bend this very gently, and keep in mind these tubes they started their life straight, and these have been bent by tube benders to you know, be used in this fashion. So while it can, if you were to try to bend this like a lot, that could be problematic, but all we're really doing is we're going to stretch it about 1/2 inch. In order to do that, what we need to do, should have started with this actually, is we're going to undo this clamp, because this goes back and it goes to the SCV that's back there. This happens to be a cab tractor, so the SCV is cable operated, and what we're going to do, and it comes down by the wheel, so what we're going to actually do is loosen this up, just so that we can get these. You could keep this on, but the problem is you'd be trying to move all of your, you'd be trying to move all the tubes at the same time. That's going to be a little tougher than if you just remove this. And it doesn't take long to remove, and it's easy to put back on as well. Let's see here. Come on. What happens, why I look like I can't do some of these things, is usually the camera's in the way. So I think I can leave it like that and it'll probably be fine. But let's see, let me move my camera back here. Now we've got some, you know, some ability to kind of move things along, and we'll get everything straightened out here. One other thing you can do, just by the nature of this application, is we can take this snap ring, because we have this big shoulder here, we don't actually need this snap ring on. Now in other, oh, this is not the right one. In other applications, like on the back, you will need this snap ring so that it holds it in place. Well, I say you need it. You might need it. It might be a little bit, have a little bit of movement in it. In this case, since we're gonna be, you know, kind of coming back to, it's gonna be pulling back for us, we don't really need it in the same way. So I've got this snap ring still on here. And as you can see, as I loosen that up, it's very easy to move. And we will, and the camera's in the way again. See how many times I can turn it. The beauty of these over this version is this spins. So you can't actually hold on to it, but with the FlatFace couplers, it does not spin. It will spin whenever it's inserted, and it can spin, but when it's like this, it won't spin. So you can actually use it to kind of snug it up for you until you get to the point where you actually need to use the wrench. Let's see here. There we go. So we're pretty close. Now, I would always recommend that you use a wrench on this side of it, simply because if you turn too hard, these don't have to be torqued. I think the standard for like O-ring boss is something like 15 to 20 foot-pounds. As you can see, if I didn't have this wrench on, you see that the whole tube is moving. If you were to torque it hard enough, you would actually potentially bend something. But in this case, we'll go ahead and put the wrench on, and we'll grab our snap ring here. Oh, I'm gonna get in my own way. on the other side of the snap ring. Go ahead and put this on, but for the most part, this is being held by this, right? Now, we'll go ahead and move over to this one here. I think this is bigger. I think it's a 1 1/16, or you can use a standard adjustable wrench. What size is this one? This thing is in the way. Well, it's not 1 inch, so that's probably 7/8 as well. Do it closer here. Try not to bump the camera. Come on. If the camera wasn't in the way, I wouldn't look so inept. All right. There we go. I've smashed my fingers entirely too many times to go full bore without knowing where my knuckles are gonna land or my fingers are. All right, so we'll get this. We're gonna pull this trash off. Spin this baby on. We're using the connect under pressure version. Now the connect under pressure version here, let's see if I have the right wrench. I may have to go get an adjustable wrench. That one, that's the biggest one I brought. So I'll tighten this up in a second. But now we can't see through the camera. Here we are. There's plenty of clearance here with the wheel. So it's gonna turn, in tight. This will be up a little bit higher because we've taken some of the length off the hose, which isn't a bad thing. I can't see that. But, and that's it. It's as easy as, of course I have to tighten this up, but it's as easy as taking those snap rings off, removing the old, put the new ones in. And now these are, of course, connecting to pressure. This one, I would not try to, it's like those Coke rings. You want to break them so that nobody can get hurt on them in the future or use them again. I'll go ahead and do the rest of these, and then maybe we'll do a swap of the loader just to kind of show you how that works, and that'll be it for this one. Actually, I do want to show this. One of the things about this setup, obviously, is whenever you go to put these on, you've got one, just click it in, right? You have to give it a little force, but it's going to go in. And then with just one hand, I can come in, pull that, and this is off. What makes this hard, especially when it's cold and some of the other use cases that people have, is when you come into this one, and this one, it's a little bit dirty, and you pull this back, it doesn't come out. It could come out, like that's kind of what it's supposed to do, but you push and it doesn't come out. So now you have to get your second hand in, and if you're holding your phone or your beverage or whatever, and then you got to pull this out. And the same thing goes for when you're going to connect it back up. And this one's a little bit harder to get to potentially just because this one's out, but you have to be able to push this back. And depending on how strong you are, like I can't, it's in my way. I can't really do it with my left hand. So I have to push back with this, hold it, grab the right connector, push it in, wiggle it, and then let it go. It does not go in very easily. And if you were just trying to push it like this, that won't work. You gotta make it work. You can. And then sometimes you'll get it in here like this and see how the collar's not coming down. Well, it's generally, maybe it wasn't completely seated, but it felt like it was seated and it wouldn't come out. This is why you get so many people also, like on a Power Beyond, they will put this on here like this, and you can get it, and I've done it myself, you can get it into a spot where this actually comes down, but it's actually not. I think it looks like this, hang on. It looks like this, and it's not connected. That's not gonna happen with this version. If you try to push this in and you don't do it all the way, it's gonna push out. It's not gonna stay out here. Only time it's gonna stay in is if you push it hard enough and it clicks, then you know it's completely seated. Also, if you want to turn this, it's not gonna come out. Can't accidentally come out till you turn it and let it line back up. So, as you can see, these are just so much easier to use than the ag version. All right, that's what they look like completely installed. And I'm not gonna take the loader off, but as you can see, I've got my phone in one hand. Now these being tough to release is because I've got them twisted just a bit. They're knocked all four off with just one hand. I'll go find them. Put it back on. One, blue, oops, two. Now black in this case is green. No, yes, black is green. So black on the tractor is green with HydrosPlus, dark green, and then yellow. Nice and easy. That is so much nicer, as you can tell. Easy to do, one-handed operation. Yes, you have to do all four versus a single point connector, but this is still more compact in my opinion. And on a machine like this, not sure where you'd put a single point connector. We could probably fit one somewhere. Now, the other thing I'll mention just as a nice to know is when you do these, take the outside off, inside, and then you have to go under this piece right here, but then put inside, outside on. Do the same on the other side. Because the wrenches are bigger, this is a 1 1/16. This is a 7/8. This is like a 1 5/16 if you have one that big, or an adjustable wrench. And then this is a 7/8 as well. I also need a 13 millimeter here to loosen these up. And really the only reason you need to loosen it up just to give you, so you're not trying to push them all together. Once they're individual, they're very easy to kind of snug up to here. Now I chose not to put the snap rings on the front side, and so that the groove for the snap ring ends up under there. If you decide you want to put them in there, you'll have a little bit of extra space, about 1.5 to 2 millimeters. But either way, I think it works just fine. So let me show you also. Now we'll do these in kits similar to the 1 Series. This tractor does have the third function with the button, but it does not have the stuff that goes to the front. And I'm not sure if people are gonna wanna change on the rear. The 3 Series is kind of a funny situation, and what I mean by that is with a 1 Series, we don't really go and use lots of different implements on the back. So if you were to have something on the back of a 1 Series like this, and you change to these quick couplers, you could change the 1 or 2 implements you might have for that tractor. But you're not worried about, going down the road and picking up the 30-foot disc from somebody and having to pull it back, and they have different connectors. You can also use the connectors that come off of here, and you could make an adapter if you really needed to. So I'm not sure how many people are going to be interested in the rear, except Power Beyond. I think people will be interested. On the 3 Series, I don't know what the Power Beyond looks like because my John Deere dealership never actually has 3R tractors in stock, and if they do, they do not have the backhoe on them, so I've never actually seen it. The only one that I've seen is this SCV, and if you're not familiar with the 3R, which is really odd, they use this SCV and they plumb it into the button that's on the joystick there. And then if you want the front third function, they run hoses, and I think there are some quick connects down there somewhere, which, I mean, look how tight that is. You really need spacers on this. I don't have it on this particular tractor. But then they come up here and you connect in. I don't know all the details, but I do expect people are gonna want all 4 of these and potentially the third function. Now, I think on the third function, you'll have somebody correct me in the comments here. I think it's still 1/4 inch on the front, but I'll get some more information before I finalize the different packages. But I do think in the middle of the third function, where you connect, the hard lines come here and you have some hoses and they go back towards the back. They're somewhere in here, I believe, and I think those are definitely 1/2 inch. So That's what they look like on the back. Here's what they look like on the front. Yes, they do stick out just a little bit more, but we've got plenty of room in here. Even if you turn your wheel, you're gonna have plenty of room. No worries there. That's it for this one. I'm gonna show you in a future video kind of how the connect under pressure, the difference is. I do have the standard versions. If you want it to be an inch further back that way, you could get those, but then you won't have the connect under pressure capability. That's completely up to you. On this tractor, I definitely don't take the loader off very often. But when I do, I want the ability to do it nice and easily, and I really don't want this trash here dangling down on my beautiful tractor as I'm trying to go out and drive it and make everybody feel like I'm cool. But that's it for this video. Hope you're as excited as I am about the very first made for the 3R and for, I don't want to leave the 4 guys out, but I'm working my way up to you all. So there's going to be some stuff for the 4s. Anything above the 4 generally has a lot more capability than these compact tractors. So, maybe in the future we'll have something that big, but most likely we're going to stick with 3 and 4, 1 through 4, basically. This is the first of a number of products coming out for this tractor. Stay tuned for details on the other ones. One is super exciting if you have the cab. Can't wait to talk about that one soon. But that's it for this one. Questions, comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching.